Recording in progress. Welcome to the BlackHouse. This isn't on 106.1 FM. This is online. Yeah, so today it's me and Leah, and we're having a discussion with Memuna and Boubacar from the African Film Festival. So we're really excited that this is our first kind of online discussion. So yeah, do you guys want to kind of introduce yourselves?
Yeah, if you go first, Boubacar.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm Bubba Kakulibali from the African Film Festival New Zealand Trust. I'm originally from Mali. Yeah, so we started the African Film Festival 7 years ago, and here we are today. It's growing and growing and growing, except for COVID this year. So anyway, yeah. So that's me. Thank you very much.
And Memuna.
Hi, Memuna. Memuna Barnes Jackson now. I am Liberian, Sierra Leonean. I have been part of the African Film Festival I'm an ambassador for the African Film Festival, and I've been part of it for, I think, for the last 4 or 5 years in Wellington.
That's correct, yeah.
Yes, helping with the Wellington side of things. And
right.
Yeah.
And I really want to get into asking you some questions about working at distance with the African Film Festival. But first of all,
yeah, so I'd say before we get into that, because I grew up down south, so I fit myself down in the South Island. So like the African Film Festival, hearing about that was completely new to me. So yeah, could you give us like a little bit of a rundown about yeah, what the African Film Festival is, the kind of stuff that it's had over the past kind of few years, and yeah, like what's it all about?
Yeah, what was your inspirations to actually start something like this in New Zealand?
Okay, I'm gonna say something about that. Well, what happened is that we had African communities for a very long time. The first African community that I was a chairman in Oakland started, I believe, in 1989, 1990. So we had which was called African Communities of Oakland Region Incorporated. So then the community wasn't big. In fact, they started out of a soccer team. We were not even enough for one soccer team. And then suddenly the community increased, I think with the arrival of a lot of Somalis, Burundian and others. So the community then grew very big ones, and Ghanaian, because the Ghanaian were the first one to start the Ghana Association and the Ghana soccer team. So therefore, from there on, what happened is that the community trying to unite all of those where we first started the organization, we always wanted to share our culture with Kiwis, but at the same time for us to understand the New Zealand communities in New Zealand and how to really live in the country and how to get integrated into the country properly. So from there, we moved to Akofi because the first organization reached a point that wasn't really achieving the goal that we wanted to. But then even at Akofi, after struggling for a long time, we realized that we really still were not sharing our culture properly with New Zealanders. We had Africa Day once a year. In fact, we used to have African Night. Once a month, we used to have African Night. And that's when I started to do DJ. And I started to do the radio as well. We had African radio. So I learned to do those just to share our culture and for us to understand each other. But then we were doing a strategic planning for the community, for our coffee. We realized that we're still a long way to go of what we wanted to do. So then that's when we say, well, let's try a film festival. But the problem was none of us knew anything about films. So we had to start everything from there and start investigating, prepare a business plan, a strategic plan. And we met a few people who helped us to be able to start. And really the goal is to share our culture with the New Zealanders through films. And the reason why we choose films is because through one film, you will see so much, like Leah, when you looked at Benti this year, how much you saw in Benti about Tanzania and the community and things like that. So every film to me represents something really interesting like that. So that's what we really wanted to share. But at the same time, if we have you take your child to a film, say from Tanzania, and you're Tanzanian, I have watched those children feeling so proud that here is something from my country today. And so those are the reasons why we decided to do it. And I got caught in it because my own daughter, at the first advert, she was filming it. And then one of the people said, no, Francis, you go in front of a camera. And they asked her, why, Francis, what do you think about African Film Festival? And she stood there and said, an African Film Festival. Wow, I'll learn so much about my culture. And I looked at that video, I said, we can't stop now then. It's so good for our kids. So anyway, that's how we started it and got it until now. We started in Oakland, and I think the third year we then go to Oakland and Wellington. And we did a 2 or 3 screening in Wellington, in Christchurch, but we get so exhausted after Wellington and Oakland that really we have not continued with that side of it. So that's more or less around how we started it.
Okay.
That's fantastic.
I wanted to ask a question. You've had to move the film festival online this year. How do you think that's going to impact or even benefit the African Film Festival this year? Because this is going to be a first time, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be a first time. First, Memuna, do you want to add anything from where you got involved?
Oh, well, I saw what you were saying in when the first when the first African Film Festival came to Wellington. We all attended and we felt very, very proud, and I'm happy also that I was involved in that first stage of things as well. Organizing, planning. I was really happy that there's more, that we're bringing more to New Zealand by way of sharing our culture with this host country of ours. And some of the people who helped with organizing at the time, a few of them were born here with no proper idea of the continent, of our continent, of the African continent and stuff like that. And they too were very happy. And those of us who were born there were very happy that something like this is coming to cinemas in New Zealand, as opposed to us seeing our films only on YouTube and stuff like that. And so, yeah, from that first year, I've been very happy to be part of it, partly also because I believe in service, and it benefits us to bring our culture to the West because the media isn't doing us any justice.
Yes,
so I'm very happy about that. And yeah, that's what's fed my enthusiasm to continue being part of it as well as anything else.
Yeah.
I really like what you said about YouTube, I think, because I've been watching old like Jamaican films that you can't find anywhere but YouTube. So like, then I think that's one of those things that seem, maybe this is like another, like an untapped kind of experience. It's like the film can be found on YouTube. If you can't find it anywhere else, it's on YouTube.
Yeah.
That's true. You can find a lot of very old movies also about Africa on YouTube as well. But I wasn't going to miss out on you, Miss Memuna. I was just like shuffling things around here a little bit.
Oh no, that's fine. That's fine.
The reason I was asking about the online thing, because I wanted to actually get both of your takes on this. The reason that I was asking about it is because we have things like Prime, we have things like Netflix, we have other streaming services online. Do you see the African Film Festival, seeing as it's had to go on online now for both Auckland and Wellington, do you see this as something that is going to benefit or not benefit the African Film Festival? I'm just thinking from a person who I'm a person that actually prefers online streaming. services to actually going to movie theaters. So I'm just wondering, what was your take on this?
Okay, well, the way I look at it is that I really like the community getting together with all the people around into a cinema, like the openings in Oakland and Wellington. I mean, one of the things that the cinemas like Rialto keep telling us is that no one does opening like African Film Festival. Literally get packed with music, with coffee, Ethiopian coffee. People, it's the only place where you go at a cinema and people are making coffee. And then you get all sort of people in Oakland mingled together and giving a really buzz of a cultural exchange that we are after. And the same thing happened in Wellington as well. But Oakland opening is always bigger than Wellington. That's because of the community as well, which make a difference. But going online, which you have to be flexible and see the opportunity, because in the rest of the country, Christchurch, Hamilton, they have all wanting to have a part in the African Film Festival. In some opening, people from Hamilton drive to Oakland for it. And the Egyptian community actually, twice they organize a huge gathering around it with food and everything like that in Oakland. So those are things you can't have online, no matter what we do. So that is where we will miss that side of it. But going online, the way we are working is that we are actually negotiating the films to say that it's not only Auckland and New Zealand, but it's actually Australasia. So we are making African Film Festival for Australasia. Now we have a lot of work to do on that in terms of the marketing and all of us tapping in our network in Australia and other places to make sure they feel part of it, the whole thing. So we got that challenge ahead of us, because if we just say African Film Festival New Zealand, well, people in Australia will say, well, that is not us. However, if we market it as African Film Festival Australasia for Australasia, then we will have a much more acceptance. And at the same time, it allow us to, like this year's film, I think we had selected 3 films from the Caribbeans, because the diaspora is so important. The first one where we'll say this is not necessarily the Caribbean, Fanon. I don't know if you saw that, Fanon yesterday, today. I do not know if you guys have read about Fanon, but he was it was from the French Caribbean, but he fought so much for Algerian independence. It's not a joke. He set up the first hospital in one of the cities where he was. Yeah. And in fact, it happened that one of the Caribbean who used to live in that city, or who grew up in that city, is actually in Oakland, and she called her father. So that was so exciting.
Oh, wow.
You see? And then we got another film on a film festival, a film freeway. I do not know if you saw that. It's French. It's colonization and slavery in French West Indies, as well as we receive the last one, which I don't believe many of you have seen, called Malnon. Those are all about the Caribbean. And you realize that we in Africa sometimes have forgotten our brothers and sisters in the Caribbean, how they got there. But the whole thing, it's a huge opportunity for all of us to network and connect and see how we work together. So I do not think that it should be replacing. That's why originally what we had, we are going to have a cinema, then we'll have it online, because both of them got their places. But unfortunately, because of COVID, we can't do that. So we'll just do it online. But I don't think it will replace it, but I believe we'll reach more people with it. And the other thing is, none of the film that we select are available on YouTube or anything like that. If it is on those, we don't select it. They have new films. I think most of them are no more than 3 years old. The others we have selected for a special character, which then will add value to the festival. So that's what it is. Yeah.
That was something I was thinking about. I was wondering if you could speak to this, Memuna. The going online, does that mean that we get a bigger selection of movies to view? Because everybody will be.
We haven't increased the numbers of movies that we intended to screen at the cinemas, but it was thrown into our last meeting. It might happen. I can't say it will, but it might. It's just that there's nothing really that I can say that Mr. Coulibaly haven't covered to speak to the benefit of going online. That casting of a wider net where more people who wouldn't have been able to go to the cinema, as in probably not feeling well or something, would hear about this or be gifted a ticket from a family member and say, oh, here's something different to what you usually have on YouTube, or Netflix or Amazon Prime. Here's something different. Watch this movie. I've read the synopsis of this movie. Watch it. And, stuff like that. It's going to cast a wider net, and we will have more people. As to the number of movies, it hasn't been decided completely yet.
Yes.
So do you think would it be a limited time sort of situation that it's running, or would it be a little bit more extended now?
No, it will be, what happened is that we negotiated 3 weeks with most filmmakers, but at the moment, the decision we took the other day was 1 month. Now, that's something I had to work a lot with the filmmaker to see, because some of them do not want the film, through the contract they sign with the distributors, they have to be a limited view. So some say no more than 600 views. Some say no more than a week, and some are saying no more than 2 weeks. So those are things we have to work through that with every specific filmmaker and make it like Benty. Benty didn't want to be part of online festival at all. So I do not.
That was my favorite one.
Well, she doesn't want to. The filmmaker doesn't want to, Leah. I spent a lot of time trying to convince her, but she's worried that people will pirate her film. Yeah, so
that's
I do not know.
I was looking forward to.
Yeah, well, the company we selected, that is it will not happen. But that's one area which I don't know yet how many films will be there. But Memuna is right. I did raise the question, should we increase the number of films at the meeting? But the main point was, let's not dilute, the value of a film. Let's show the best films. Rather than taking more film which may not be the best. Let's make sure we go with the best films. So that is where we are. And when I was looking at it, the best film we had, the fiction we selected, we had around 24 fictions. And then we had around 13 or 14 documentaries. And then the short film, we had not selected the short films yet. We're struggling a little bit because of the pricing. You select a short film, you have to go in front of a feature film. And each of them costs you a lot of money. So the short film in that case doesn't add too much value when it comes down to money out. But the thing I was really interested in from our communities in New Zealand, to make sure we got short films from them. So we had 2 or 3 short films in that case. The qualities are not as good as what is coming from overseas, but we have to encourage our own people to make more films, and that quality will come with time. So that's what I was we are working on. So that's why we have a homegrown project for everyone from the African descent in New Zealand to try to work through that. So that's really where it is. So to answer your question, we don't know yet if we'll increase the numbers, but some of the films that we are having in the cinema may not be available online. I do not know yet. So we have to work on those ones. Yeah, but Memuna is right. One thing which will be great in our marketing, we have deliberately selected it as well to be over Christmas and New Year. So for instance, you can give a Christmas present to someone to watch a few African films. So that would be great. Or during that period, you get together with your family and say, let's watch a film. So the plan is 4 weeks. However, it is to be finalized because originally we had negotiated 3 weeks. And our contract with a supplier, the company where we are doing the film festival, is 1 month. So that's what we are contracting with at the moment.
Yeah. Eddie, you got something to say?
Oh, I'm just about to say I'm going to ask my mum for Christmas. Be like, Mum, so you know this is coming up.
Can you get me a membership?
That's right. Yeah.
What I enjoyed reviewing the films, but because I got to have a look at some of them. But I got to tell you, I just wanted to watch them. It was the work I had to do after watching them. I was like, okay, 5's enough. That's enough, because I was really enjoying them. And I think that I would be a person that would enjoy just being able to binge watch these movies online without having to write a synopsis afterwards. Like, I don't want to do that. I know you like my synopsises, but I don't want to do that. I just want to watch them.
No problem. Well, Leah, to help you, what is going to happen is that if it works out, we have a jury of international filmmakers. I think we have around 8 Kiwis and 3 or 4 Africans and filmmakers, all very powerful filmmakers. People like Oscar Knightley.
Yes, I saw him on your lineup.
Yeah, okay. He's one of our patrons, but he has agreed to be on the jury for judging the films.
Right.
Same as Annie Golson. You got 2 lecturers at Victoria University in Wellington there. One in Waikato, Annie Golson is in Oakland. And some other filmmakers, as well as someone from Doc Edge Film Festival. So we got this net of people who are ready to work with us so that we give an award to the films to decide this is the best film or whatever. And those are things we still have a lot of work to do as a committee together, because we haven't decided how we're going to call those prizes, those prize, the award that we're going to give them. So at the beginning, we had given names like Putekawas and Kauris, very specific New Zealand. However, we have not reviewed it to really nail it down properly. And those are work that we all have to put our head together and come up with prizes which will be unique to New Zealand, but meaningful as well to Africa, so that we can give those prizes to African filmmakers, because then more people will be ready to send us their best films. If you look at the progression, at the beginning, many people didn't want to give us a film. This year, on Film Freeway, we had over 700 films.
Wow.
And
That's
and
a
then,
lot.
It's a lot. So, and then I liaised with Zanzibar Film Festival, Durban International Film Festival, FESPACO, who are giving, and which other one. So all those people, I actually asked them to give me the list of the best film they get from the area. And that was very good. So FESPACO is one of our partners, much earlier on, because I took the chance to visit them when we started the idea. FESPACO is the biggest African film festival, and it's happening right now in Burkina Faso.
Wow.
This year, they are showing around 300 films. People were asking at the beginning, do we make films in Africa? I say, well, open your eyes, man. We have a lot of stories which are not told. Many stories of the West and others are told a lot, but we got stories which are not told. People who said it are generally not from our communities. There are foreigners looking at our society and making out a film, but sometimes they don't actually understand the culture. They do not understand the context.
Right. Yeah.
So it's really important that we ourselves step in and then do what we have to do. Unfortunately, I'm not a filmmaker, but I'm just seeing a new generation, particularly women, coming out with a lot of power, doing that. And people like Apolline Traoré from Burkina Faso. She's the ambassador of the museum system of Burkina Faso. 1 year, Memuna, I don't know if you saw the film Borders. I think it was in Wellington. She's the one
I
who,
may have. Yeah.
yeah, she made that, and she's one of our jury this year.
Nice.
Okay.
Yeah, so people like her, they are very powerful filmmakers, women coming up in the African society, making a huge difference. They are really a force to reckon with. The filmmaker of Benti, many of them from Namibia. I don't know if you remember that. This is not a burial. It is a resurrection. That represented Namibia in at the Oscar. So that's
and we are back on the BlackHouse's discussion with the African Film Festival team. Leah, take it away.
Okay. This is a question I want to put out to Memuna specifically, because you've been organising the film festival for Wellington for the last few years, and I'm just wondering, how is that for you organising at a distance? Like, how do you find that when most of the team, from looking at the website, most of the team is in Auckland? So how do you find it organising at a distance?
It can sometimes be hard getting things across, having things done, but because of the layers of change that I'll keep using the word things, the layers of change that things have to go through before say a message or a request gets through to the chair or the committee in the at the film festival, then it turns around to come to me. It takes a little bit of time, but also in Wellington, yes, my name is up front, but I haven't done it all alone. You have been part of it as well, even though you're asking me.
Minor jobs, minor roles.
Yeah, you have been part of the minor roles. And like last year, you brought a whole army of people. Believe me, I couldn't have done it with all of that help. So I can't say I do it, we do it. I can just say probably I'm just the face of it. And it's exhausting, but the support that gets thrown behind it, and just to hear people asking, I'm sure people ask you too. People ask me, when is the film festival? Oh, what's happening this year? Oh, we're looking forward to the opening night, stuff like that. People enjoy the music, people enjoy the atmosphere that we create. So it all pays off. It pays off.
I direct those questions to you, Memuna, so I don't get them.
I see. And that's why you're pretending I'm the only one who does the job.
Yeah, because, because I grew up in New Zealand and I spent a lot of time on marae, you always have to have those workers in the kitchen if you're going to get the job done. Yeah. But, a lot of the time we're just in the kitchen.
And really, that's where the goods come from, the kitchen.
Yeah, it comes from the kitchen. So, like, while Coulibaly mentioned that you've got a homegrown project, and the Homegrown Project is a filmmaking project for homegrown filmmakers. I was just wondering, with the filmmaking people that you've got involved, are they involved in supporting, young upcoming filmmakers who may want to do short films in New Zealand? Are they involved in a way of like doing workshops or basically being mentors or things like that to young African filmmakers who want to do things? Do you think that could be on the cards, or is it on the cards, or either one of you, either Memuna or Boubacar, either one of you can answer that?
I'll take the back seat on this one because I'm not well versed with the Homegrown Project.
Well, thank you for that. What is happening so far is that the Homegrown Project, it's an idea we got to try to support young people and anyone in our community who want to make films. The reason we are trying to start that, it's like this week, and I don't know, Nunu. Nunu is one of the team members here. She's from Sudan.
Okay.
You recently did an amazing exhibition of young African artists at the outer region, Ponsonby Road. But what she did was, it's called nomadic something. I forgot the term. But it is about the movement of the people from Africa for wherever they came, all the trajectory they took until they reached Oakland. So these people, they made a painting about it. And it was so amazing. So she invited me to it, and Adarote was there. So we had a discussion. I said, why don't you make a short film about these people? It would be amazing. So then we started. MSD was there, the Minister of Social Development, someone from the Jennifer Janif was there, and some other people who had sponsored them through that. But then I said, well, let's make this a film. So Adarote and Nunu are actually working, trying to make a film out of that. So, but it happened so far in the process that they haven't been able to have time to make the proper funding application. So it looked like it really would have to be for next year. But that's a sort of thing we want to do. So that's an opportunity, and we supported them. I asked Adorote to put a budget together. They put the budget together. She does filming, and Nunu does filming. And they know all those are young artists. So therefore, under the name of the African Film Festival, then we help them to apply for funding so that they get that money, and we help them to make those films. And at the same time, if they need any support through our network we got, those people will be ready to help them. But that will totally depend on the filmmaker. And then the other one is Dione. You know Dione from
yes, Black Creatives.
Black Creative. Okay, so they send the film. But what it is that those films from young people, we have to give them a platform to showcase that film. Otherwise, sometimes, as I say, it may not be the best quality, but you have to start somewhere. So even if you don't accept the film, you have to get someone to tell them, this is the reason why we did not accept it. So please improve it this way or that way. So then that film can be accepted. And then we were looking at trying to organize a workshop. People like Annie Golson, who lecture film at the Oakland University, has been asking me all the time, you guys have to use me, please use me. So they want us to organize workshop with our people who want to make films. Annie Golson, even the New Zealand International Film Festival, her film is in it. And last 2 years, there was one as well. I think last year they were canceled as well. So those people are available there that we got network with, that we can then push those people to help, to advise behind the scene or organize a workshop for them. So, but I had a meeting with a lot of Africans in Kingsland to try to discuss it. They all say, oh, we'll come up with a film, we'll do something, we'll get together and do something, but nothing happened out of it. And you know that film don't get made in one day. So then we have to make sure the project is there in the background for anyone who wants to use it. However, you can't force anyone to do it. So people have to work within their own time and come up to do it. So that's a way I'm looking at it. So it's really, the project is to be able to support our people in any way we can. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And there's a screenwriting coming up with Dione's team. She actually asked me to tell everyone we are going to organize a screenwriting workshop. I think it will be online for people like people in Wellington can have access to it as well.
Okay. Well, that would be brilliant because, you know, like with COVID and everything, people can't travel like they used to, and it's, you know, we've got faux borders everywhere. I think the online community is where you're going to find people can partake in things that maybe they wouldn't partake in them before because of the inability to get wherever. There's a lot of things going on in Auckland. I'm sure Wellingtonians would be interested in, people from Christchurch. Even Eddie said, even down in the deep dark south, There's people down there.
Where is Eddie based? Eddie, where are you based?
So I was based in Dunedin.
Oh,
so
right.
I was at university there, and I went to high school there as well. So I lived down there, and yeah, it was definitely one of those things. Like, because of COVID, there was like a writers' workshop that I took part in through Black Creatives, and that was really good because it was something that was like, I don't know how open it would have been if it had been just Auckland based or whatever, but it was great because I could just zoom in and do that. So I think, like, yeah, that's the really good thing about the online platform. And obviously it lets us do stuff like this chat tonight. Like
Yes, that's right. Yeah, there is no border anymore, friend.
Yeah.
And I wanted to chip in to say that I can't wait for Memuna to change her book into a film.
Oh
Yes.
my God. We're talking about that here.
Yeah. Yes. That's exactly what I was thinking as well.
Right,
We're on the
us a
same
rundown.
page here, me and
I am interested. It's just
You're interested. Even if we don't make it one big feature film, you can make short to start with, and then you can look at it and then go for it. Just can't wait to see that. Yeah.
You could be
yeah,
the
I'm
director.
interested. Yeah, I'm interested. I need the resources. So
Yeah, well, that's what I was thinking about with all these filmmakers like Oscar Knightley and other filmmakers that you said were at Victoria University and Auckland University. You know, like that's a very valuable resource for making films and for young people or old people in our community that want to tell stories on film. Do you have anything like you'd like to add to that, Eddie?
Yeah, I think it is interesting. I definitely think, like, I think it's cool. I think especially Auckland and Wellington seem like the spaces here, like, that you're going to get those kind of creative minds. I think obviously you'll get them everywhere else as well, but I definitely think, like, up here, like, if you can tap into those resources, if you can get amongst those and get into those spaces, I guess, yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot of space, and I'd really like to see more.
And at the same time, I have to say, people like Leah, you got an amazing story to tell. I have to tell you, because you were born here. You know this country inside out, and you know how it is like to be between two countries.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And in your childhood, you're grown up, everything, there is so much you can tell. But the whole thing is that how do you manage through it? And I was going to say as well that our youth got such an amazing sort of outlook at life. Sometimes we all who came as migrants, the way we look at it is not the same as they look at it.
No.
And everyone got their own path, their own story to tell. It's just tapping
from the same point.
Yeah, and I was going to say as well that in terms of the resources that Memuna is talking about, the first thing when you want to make a film, identifying what do you need. And if for someone who has never made a film, that's a huge task.
Yes.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And about like needing a film about Leah's life. I feel like we've talked about on the radio show, we've talked about like doing like a comic strip as well. So I reckon it'd be great. You could have like, Leah, you could have your life in a comic strip, and then you could have a film. Like
I think Leah wants to go down the track I went. I think she wants to write a book first. Leah.
Yeah. I'm sort of like, I've got so many plans, so little time.
Yes. We'll start with short ones, okay?
Yeah, I'm going to be sitting down with Nanny at some point and doing a storyboard sort of thing. But but we've been crash learning technical things this last weekend, and working bee in friends' houses and things like that. So it's kind of finding the time to just actually sit and just do it. And I know for a fact that I can procrastinate and put other things ahead of what I need to be doing.
So you have to reshuffle. You have to reshuffle. and
Yeah.
put what you need to be doing ahead of other things.
Yeah, it's all
Otherwise,
about
you'll
that
never do it.
organizing. But I think, like, I mean, I do respect what people are saying. I mean, it is a story. It is probably a story that needs to be told of that middle part of being African, New Zealand, and you're stuck in the middle because nobody's telling those stories.
So could that be a short film for next year's film festival?
Let's get on to it. Let's get on to it.
Could that be a short film for next year's film festival, Mia?
Yeah, could be. Could
Yeah.
be.
You know?
But you guys can see how the African Film Festival can evolve.
Yeah.
You see how important this can be for all of us and for our children, our grandchildren.
Yeah.
Because it will be just amazing with time, and not only for here, but those films are films we can make it, and slowly with our international connection. If Leah tell her story and we take it to Zanzibar, oh my God, people will want to hear so much about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
It's
you
a
know,
whole
like
different perspective.
yeah, completely.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people come to New Zealand and they've got this kind of rose-colored glasses on when they come here, and it's not until they've been here for some time that they actually go, oh, hang on a minute, the grass isn't necessarily always greener on the other side. You know what I mean? And and I also think it was always a bit of a, I was always quite envious of African Americans because they had such rich literature, and they had so many, they had like this long 400-year history of, even though, you know, like with the slavery and everything else, but then education and writers and artists and creatives that we haven't had here. I mean, we're starting to sort of get a grasp of it now with New Zealand becoming more open to its diversity. But like, I haven't seen it like it is, you know, in my lifetime. When I was a teenager, I would not have seen the diversity of Māori, Pacifica, Indian, Asian, African in New Zealand, and now suddenly we've got it, and this has all just happened in my lifetime, you know. And it's quite a diverse and quite a quick change for a country that was, well, I remember it as being quite socialist, and you know, we were very closed off. We were called Fortress New Zealand in the 60s and 70s. We were really closed off from the rest of the world. We didn't have a lot of choice. There wasn't a lot of consumerism. I think there was 3 types of fridges you could buy. There was one power company, you know what I mean? The cars were assembled in Wiri. Yeah. You know, and then suddenly we've got boom, there's everything, and we can choose anything. And and having that diversity change happen in like 40 years is pretty crazy.
See,
and
you've already just set the script. You've already just kind of written the beginning of a script there. That's just like,
have I?
What about yours? I'm curious to know yours, Eddie.
Oh, gee,
it was stranded in Cromwell.
The thing is, honestly, like again, it's probably, I'm not very good at self-reflection, so I feel like there's probably stuff I know I could write about, and I think probably especially like I quite like the idea of doing like a kind of boarding school. I went to boarding school in Dunedin, and doing kind of experiences in boarding school type adventure type kind of slightly divorced from reality, just slightly a bit fantastical. But yes, I don't know. I feel like I'd like writing other stuff first. I feel like I'm not in that kind of space quite yet where I could write about my life, but
but that would be really interesting, because there are not many Africans in Dunedin either. People of African descent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that
African or Jamaican, you know, like there's barely any, like, that's another thing, you know, like there was a period where there was very little migration here. And the only, in the early 80s, the only Ethiopians I met were at Auckland University, and they were incredibly wealthy. So, you know, they weren't refugees. They were probably ministers' sons or something, I don't know. But they were quite wealthy and well off, and they had, you know, nice student apartments up on Albert Street. And yeah, you know, like it was completely different.
They had scholarship.
And this is what a lot of people in New Zealand do not know, because they feel like majority of Africans that have come here for due to some form of seeking refuge in some way or another. But there are a few amongst us that chose to come.
Yeah. They and also, you know, the scholarships, like when the Special Commonwealth African Assistance Plan, the SCAP scholars, which my dad was. I mean, when I say my dad was here in 61, people are like, what? What do you mean? 1961? Like, they don't understand, because they
What did your dad study here?
1961, and he left not long after, probably 67 or 68.
What was he studying though?
What did he study?
He was studying accounting, was one of the things he was studying. And I think he was studying geography. I've got his forms here somewhere. I went and got them from the university. So yeah, I think those were the two subjects. But he went back to build a school, and like before he passed away, me and him had worked on a project helping to help him build the school in our tribal area, Kalinga. So
where is it? Kalinga?
Kalinga, yeah, in Aringa. So it's the southern highlands of Tanzania, yeah. So I did a project where I fundraised in New Plymouth and got a whole lot of books for the library. And then the New Zealand embassy in Zimbabwe got the books to Tanzania. So that was back in 1988, 87.
Wow.
87, 88, yeah.
That's fantastic.
I've got a newspaper clipping. I got records. I keep my receipts.
And there's another scene. There's another scene.
Yeah. But so that was really cool being able to do that with him, even though he passed away not long after that. So yeah, but it was really cool to actually do something productive with a parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I hadn't had that experience before, so that was really awesome.
Yeah. Oh, fantastic. And so you go back often, or you haven't been back for a while?
No, I haven't been back since 95.
Oh, okay.
But this is not an interview about me. Why are you making this interview about me?
We need a film of all of it. We're taking the African Film Festival, and we are just finding out which film we should make next.
So yeah, I have a okay, now to flip it back, I have a question. Sit there and go, what's the film in the lineup this year that both of you are most excited for? What's your hot pick? Ones to watch.
My hot pick was Binti, but then I just got yeah.
That was such a good movie.
I love seeing African women portrayed in a modern style as well, because yes, African women back home are still African women, but then there's the modern day African girl.
Yeah.
You know, I like seeing that on screen as much as I like seeing the traditional African woman. You know, the authenticity is still there, you know, and this movie just showcases their various dynamics, you know.
I really wanted that one to be on there because I think it contradicted a lot of the stereotypes that African women and African women who are multi-ethnic get in New Zealand, because the range of colors in just one country, that's Tanzania, you know, like Tanzania goes from really dark to lighter than me. I mean,
that's every African country, really. That's every African country. You'll find people as pale as what, but they've never been out of Africa. Their grandparents also never been out.
Like my country,
Yeah.
And I was really amazed because I was looking at that last girl in the movie, and I'm like, if she was moved to New Zealand, everybody would say she was Samoan.
Yes.
Did you see that? I saw that.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we heading into spoiler territory here?
No, not quite.
Let's not worry. I still will be negotiating with her to see if we can get it. I still will be negotiating with the band if you can get it. And I see, to answer your question, I do see it in many different areas, because this year we're looking at calling it, what's the name? The theme of a year. Was celebrating our humanity.
Nice.
Because the reason is that when you look at Benty, you look at many of the film, it's not all positive, but it's not all negative. But the whole thing is we are human beings, and we have to remember that humanity that we are looking at together, celebrating together, and learning from it. You see what I mean?
And the issues they were facing are issues that women face everywhere. That's every day, everywhere, you know. And that's another thing that I thought was quite unique about this, was that it was a real honest take. And it wasn't trying to gloss it up or, you know, turn it into like a Nollywood soap opera. It was actually dealing with the guts of it. And I really liked that about that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I think. Well, I still will be negotiating and see if we can get it.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a way to protect her IP. I'm sure there could be a way to protect the filmmaker's IP.
I'll be communicating with her.
Yeah.
Well,
what was your hot pick?
Well, I looked at it in different way, because I quite like the Fanon yesterday, today. It's like Black Lives Matter. All the issue related that we're talking about in a recent year. Actually, what we were talking about, even the 60s.
Yeah.
So that was very impressive for me. But I really like comedies as well. So therefore, The Uncommon Woman. That was, I don't know if you saw that, but
I think I did. I think I might have watched that one. It's quite funny.
Yeah, the woman who decided to marry two husbands.
Oh no, I didn't see that.
Good on her. I like her.
Yeah, I like her already.
I like her. Good on her. Like that.
Uncommon Woman from Burkina Faso. That to me, I love comedies, but it's really turned the fact that a man in West Africa married two wives. You turn that upside down, and then this was a woman marrying two husbands. And all the issues related. So it was just so funny that you couldn't read it in it. You see what I mean? Yeah. So I really, really like that. But at the same time, the music is one thing I love a lot. So Tango Negro, the origin of the tango music, being African, and the Argentinian, literally, they kill a lot of the Africans were killed to more or less get rid of it. And now when you look at tango, you only see white men in it, white people. Yeah. So bringing that back to me by an Angolan, I think that was really, really amazing. I guess I can't say one thing I like best, because I love so many of them. And Labasso, which is one of the voices I grew up with. Memuna, I don't know, your dad will remember Labasso from Senegal.
I think, he would. He listens to a lot of songs from Senegal.
Oh, so he would love that. You know the Africando music.
Yeah.
Yeah, so a lot of those are his songs.
Okay.
Yeah, so we got Labasso, but the film is so new that the English subtitle had not been finished.
Right.
So they
Oh.
only finished that when we are in the middle of it. In fact, we received the English subtitle no more than 3 weeks ago.
So it's in French and Wolof.
It is in French and Wolof, so therefore now we got a subtitle in English.
Oh, okay. Well, he understands French. He reads French too. So.
Oh, right.
Yeah. He speaks reading. Yeah, he will like it.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, so those are films that are really, there are so many of them I love. There's so many issues going through. And if you look at Maria Kirsty from Zambia, I don't know if you saw that. Again, that was an amazing film. I love that. And and another Tanzanian one called Farewell Amor, which was supposed to be the opening night. Again, for migrants, the problem
that
of being
it falls on the heart of it.
that should be so hard to you, Memuna. Your husband is one side and you are on the other. Exactly, you guys.
Oh wow! This Zoom meeting should be called Pick on Memuna at night.
So
oh my God.
Yeah, so that was going to be the opening night in both Wellington and Auckland, because it's so real to migrants. You see what I mean? Yeah, and all the difficulties we go through it. Yeah, and it's a really very well filmed, very good film. Yeah. So I guess I cannot say what is my favorite, my friend Eddie.
Okay. I'm just gonna have to watch them all then.
Yeah, the lineup is good. The lineup for Wellington, as far as I've seen, is good as well. It's very good.
Yeah.
So
and one film which stayed with me for a very long time is called Buried, from Cameroon. It's about in an orphanage, what's the name? An orphanage, the abuse that happened to young people. These are young people who went from orphanage. Now they are big. And the guy who abused them as a child passed away. And they go to the funeral and want to bury all the things which happened. Sitting there and talking about this. It's not easy to listen, but it's done in a way that it just grips you. You can't move at all. I just couldn't move. It's just amazingly well done. And it's done by a woman who did very, very good job.
Nice.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so there are some...
It sounds like there's a rich selection of movies that are touching on all sorts of aspects of humanity this year.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And what's the name? And the other thing is that many of the films has represented their countries at Oscar Award. And again, that's very good to know. You see what I mean? Like Nathan's father represented Senegal. Fire Dai represented Ethiopia. This is not a burial, it is a resurrection, represented Namibia. Lesotho, that's correct, that's Lesotho. And then you have which one? The Egyptian one. Again, that represented Egypt at the, you did watch that later.
When we were born? When we are born.
Yeah, when we were born, that's right.
Yeah.
That represented Egypt at the,
I did a review for that one, did I?
You did do a review for that one. So there are many great films that we have this year, just a great selection. As far as I'm concerned, we did such a great job together as a team to look at these films, and I just think that it was fantastic. Mark in Wellington, they did such amazing work, watching so many films, and Jenny, they discussed a lot of the films, and Jenny wrote a lot of the synopsis. So those synopses will all be available on what's the name? On our website.
On the website?
So is that how the access is going? Is we're going to be getting to the movies, paying a fee of whatever, and we can access the movies through your website? Is that how it's going to work?
That's how we would like to, because that will give us more promotion, but that will take us to a shift 72 side.
Right.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. So we'll tailor it to ourselves through our website.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm actually looking forward to it. Have the dates changed for Wellington and Auckland? Are you going to launch the whole Australasia thing together, or are you going to do different launches?
Wellington is happening.
Those are things we need to work on, because we have never done online before. It's actually a lot of learning to do, and we need to all put our head together, because you two are both part of the team, so it's not just me here.
Stop giving me more work.
And next time Eddie will be part of it
too. Leah is just taking herself out of the equation.
I'm really trying. I'm trying.
All right. So, sorry, I've just realised. Yeah, we're just coming up to the last 2 minutes. So, last minute or so of the thing discussion here. Sorry. Sorry. The main one I wanted to go. Just dates. That's the big one. That's the main.
Okay. The date is 10th of December to the 7th of January. 10th of December 2021 to January 2022.
Perfect.
Okay.
But prior to that, we want the jury to do their work and then give award to the film. So that's what we're working on before that.
Excellent.
But that will be online. So I don't know what the guy is saying, launching online. That is something we have to work through, but I don't know yet what to do on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
and Memuna and Leah, let us know what to do.
Perfect.
Oh my God.
Excellent. Oh, thank you both for joining us. Thank you so much both for joining us this afternoon.
Yeah.
This evening.
This evening. Yeah. Thanks very much for coming on. What we're going to do is we're going to do our magic, and we're going to share this on our platforms and send you a copy as well. Hopefully before we want to get it done before the 28th. So yeah.
Okay.
Excellent.
So you've got something there.
Excellent. So I just go. Sorry, it's just come up 30 seconds. Just do a quick close off. Thank you both so much for coming on. This has been the BlackHouse and the African Film Festival, and I can't wait to see all these movies.